So this is an update on how the pot Dahlia tubers are doing. It's now 9 weeks since we started these. The first we planted them up on the 30th of January, and there's a video of how we did that and took some cuttings and looked after some cuttings afterwards, and this is an update. So 9 weeks later, I've moved it over to the cooler area now, because these are slowing down. They're still putting cuttings out and there's still more to take, but some of the tubers have gone, basically. I've left this on for you to see, but it actually rotted. It was the tuber that was in this position. It did put out some shoots early on, and then just gave up, and I thought it was rotting, and when I pulled it out, it was. This tuber here seems to have stopped, and so has this one, although there's the possibility of some further activity, so I won't pull them out. And as you can see, this one is going to put out some more shoots. So is this one, and this one. Oh, and this one too. And the camera can quite see it, but there's a shoot coming there. So we've got, I don't know, another maybe 10, 12, 15 or so shoots to come before they've all given up the ghost. We've actually taken 39 cuttings so far, all of which have taken after repotting, and are doing pretty well. So I'll show you those. The output's been variable actually with the varieties. So this variety is Josudi Hercules, and we've taken 13 cuttings so far from those, which I'll show you later. Kilmurray, we've taken 14 cuttings, and there's more to come. Clearview Audrey is the one which has done poorly. We've only got 3 cuttings so far, and these 2 tubers seem to have gone asleep. The middle one's still putting some out. There's 2 there to take when they're large enough, so it's time yet for these to come through. And the last variety, Hillcrest Jersey, which we've so far got 9 cuttings from. Once you've taken a cutting, there's 2 stages. The first stage is to encourage root growth in the cutting, and 2 things about that. One is that your cutting will need protection from drying, so these plastic bags are really good for doing that. Otherwise they'll dry out because there's no roots to take up water during that crucial phase. This phase takes maybe 3 weeks, so I keep them in plastic bags and keep them on heat to encourage root growth for 3 weeks. And during that time they need very little. Occasionally they might need some water, but the way I check whether water is required is simply by lifting the pot by the plastic cover, and very quickly you get a sense of which ones have gone light and therefore might require some water. That one's light. So I'll put that in the water for 10 minutes or so. As I do the cutting, I'll put the date on the corner there. It's also labelled inside, but you can't, you know, in order for me to sort of get a view of where each cutting is at, so I can go on to the next stage. I just put the date in the corner there so I'll very quickly see what's what. So these were taken on the 20th of March, which is 14 days ago. So they've got another week or so to go. 7th of April. I'll just take one out and show you what's going on. So this guy was taken on the 20th of March, 14 days ago. They very rarely need any checking, really. I just check through the plastic bag, make sure that it's not wilting, that it's not lost colour, and that it's sort of still alive. But most of them do very well on their own, don't need anything at all. But if you do want to check, then this is at 10 days, so obviously there's some new growth here, which means that the roots are taking, and the leaves, quite a lot of leaf there, the leaves as such are okay. So that cutting's doing all right. The plastic bands seem to have rotted. Anyway, so there we are. So I can hold the whole thing up just by going like so, and check whether it's light and therefore needs water. Put that back on the bed. So we have 17 here in their plastic bags on the heated table in stage 1. So all of these are less than about 3 weeks old. And then we'll go out into the polytunnel to show you the ones that were taken earlier than that. So here we are in the polytunnel. These are the cuttings that we've taken earlier. So all of these have rooted nicely. I've taken the plastic bag off because they can now look after their own hydration. And again, there's little to do really, sort of visually check them. You will have to water these. Once again, I do this, first of all visually, of course. You have a look at the top and see whether you can get an idea of whether the pot's dried out. And that's one thing that grit is helpful for, because you can check that the grit is damp just by looking at it. It goes paler when it dries out. These are the earlier ones, putting on lots of nice growth, and these are the ones taken later. So these are the ones I've taken most recently. So that's the 12th of March, 23rd of March, 18th of February, 12th of March, 7th of March, 6th of March. If you do want to check for health, apart from just looking at the plant, making sure that it's putting on growth, and you can see that this plant is doing so. These are all the nice new growth here. And what you can do is check the roots. If you have a look underneath the pot, you might see some roots. Not in this case. This one. You just see some roots showing through there. Sorry, you can just see some roots beginning to show through there. So have a look at this plant. Looks very healthy, doesn't it? Lots of nice new growth. It's going to grow out of this pot soon, but I've got them out here to try to slow them down because it's still the second week in April and they've got another month to go before they can, a month plus to go before they can go out into the ground. So what you can do, just loosen the soil a little bit. Put the grit elsewhere for a minute, turn it upside down and have a look at the root system. So this is an extensive root system. It's pale in colour, which is good, and you can see the root hairs there all doing their job absorbing water. So that is a healthy plant. Get back on. There we have it, our pot dahlia cuttings. Every single one doing well. We've had no fails this time. You can hear the rain starting there, I think.